Hey guys, Night Owl here, and today, as you see, we're sitting in a slightly more modern cockpit. We are in the new DCS Strike Eagle from Razbam. A very well made module, definitely fun to try something different from time to time. It's a pretty cool jet, lots of cool features. So what I want to do today is just to give you a quick demonstration of some attack profiles, air-to-ground attack profiles, how you can use the air-to-ground radar and the targeting pod, and different ways to designate targets. So we are loaded with some laser-guided bombs. We have a GBU-24 at the center line and some 4 GBU-12s on the right CFT, as well as 3 CBU-97 cluster bombs on the left CFT. If we look at the map, we see that we are currently heading towards steer point 1. That's going to be our initial point, and at steer point 2 we have a target. So the first thing we want to do is change the steer point to a target point so that we have a target designation. So if we go into the main menu of the UFC by pressing menu button here, and then we can enter the steer point submenu by pressing the push button next to steer point 1A. And now we're in the submenu of steer point 1A. To change this to steer point 2, we're gonna type in 2 into the scratch pad and then press the push button next to steer point to change to steer point 2. Now to change this to a target point, what we have to do is type in 2 decimal and then update the steer point designation again. This will create a target point, and as you see on the map, it's now become a triangle. Triangles are the symbol of target points, and the squares here are initial points. Initial points are automatically set at the steer point before the target point. Okay, so now we'll continue to fly here in autopilot. What we're gonna do now is have a look at the weapons that we have selected. And let's go into active pause here quickly. So we have, if we go over to our armaments panel using castle switch right, we have on our program 1 we have the GBU-24. This one we will drop first. We have it in auto release mode, 1 bomb per press and no tail fuse. On program 2 we have our GBU-12s, also in auto release, 1 at a time and no tail fuse. And on program 3 we have our CBU-97s. We have set them to CDIP release mode, that's the same as CCIP in other jets. 1 bomb at a time, and the fusing is based on height. So at the set height I set it to 1,200 feet. As you see here, the bomblets will be deployed. Okay, let's go back to program 1 since we want to drop this first. And let's bring back the Tues. And now let me pull down my sun visor, that's much better now. Okay, we're gonna resume the game. Okay, now what we will start by doing is making some radar maps of the target area. So we're gonna switch over to air-to-ground radar, and then to activate it we're gonna press castle switch left long to take command of the radar. Now it's making a real beam map, a low resolution maps, and we're gonna increase this range a little bit, and the target is there. Should become visible here pretty soon. Now in order to command a high resolution map, we want to make sure that the cursor function on PB7 is on map. If we now move the cursor, we see a little rectangle in the cursor. That's the area that we will map if we hit TDCD press. Let's make that a little bit bigger by pressing auto axe switch aft. Maybe once more. This looks about good. Just waiting for the target to appear. Now here it is. Now you can latch the cursor to the target or to steer points by pressing coolie switch up. It will cycle through the points. Let's place it on here and command a map with TDCD press. Okay, you see the countdown. It's gonna taking 10 minutes from this distance. Okay, that looks pretty good already. You see the map will constantly be updating, so it might get a little bit better. Gonna also hit the store button here. That allows us later to store the map when we freeze it and have a look again later. Now what we can do now is make a smaller, a more detailed map in a smaller area. So let's hit auto axe switch forward to make the rectangle a bit smaller. Place it here on the ramp where there appears to be something and hit TDCD press again. Okay, that looks pretty good. We're gonna freeze that image by pressing multifunction button on the throttle. Now it's frozen, so we can work with that. Now let's bring up the T-pod on the right display. And I like to always increase the contrast a little bit of the T-pod. Okay, now there are several ways how we can cue the T-pod to the radar point. The first one is by making a new target designation. For this we can change the cursor function under PB7 to target. And now let's maybe place it here where there seems to be some large aircraft. So hit TDCD press and you will see the pod will move to that spot. Okay, perfect. If we go into the pod, take command of the pod, we can activate the digital expand function, and now we can press auto axe switch forward to cycle through the zooms. Okay, we see some what looks like Tu-160s there and some smaller aircraft on the ramp. We're gonna go back to the radar now and let's look at some other designation methods. If we want to have a look at different areas of the radar map without changing the current target designation, we can use the Q function. For this we change the cursor function to Q, and now we can for example, let's look at this spot here. Maybe there's definitely something there. Hit TDCD press and the pod jumped to the new spot. Now let's take command of the pod to zoom in a little bit, identify what this is, auto axe switch forward. It looks like we have some fuel tanks there. That's definitely a valid target, so let's place a mark point down here. So on the T-pod, you can do this on the radar as well. We will change the cursor function to mark point. So hit PB7 mark and then hit TDCD press. And now you see on the UFC we have a new mark point created with the coordinates here. And now let's change this back to target so that we don't forget later. And let's go once more to the radar, take command, and let's look maybe at this spot here. Definitely something there as well. Hit TDCD press. Back in command of the T-pod with castle switch right long and zoom in, and there is a radar, an early warning radar site here. So just to show you that you can place mark points with the radar as well, let's take command of the radar again, change the cursor function to mark and hit TDCD press, and you see M1, mark point 1, which also shows up on the UFC here. Awesome, now that we have everything set, we can bring our Q pod back to the primary target here with Q, and we're gonna now start working only with the T-pod. So the radar we can switch to air-to-air radar, and to activate it you need to take command of it quickly, so castle switch left long. Now we can have some essay of the over-the-air situation. Okay, now let's go into into air-to-ground mode. I'll do this by pressing castle switch up. That's air-to-air, and once again for air-to-ground. You see now we have the auto-release pipper and the ASL steering line, and we'll go master arm on. Okay, now we take command of the T-pod again, zoom into a target, and we're gonna change PB10 here, that's the track mode, to area track, and command the track using auto AX switch depress. You see it's boxed now, we have a good track, and we're gonna update the target designation using TDC depress. Okay, now let's roll into the target, turn off the autopilot. On the T-pod we can make sure that everything is set. We have the laser is armed. On the top we have the right laser code, and we are currently in automatic lace, A lace, and then make sure we have the master arm set to on. Okay, we place the flight path marker on the steering line. Yeah, it's looking good. Time to release 1 minute. Now we're masked by clouds, but there's no problem, the laser can go through such thin clouds. And now at 5 seconds till release, the horizontal release line will start coming down. At that point we want to press and hold the pickle button until the reticle flashes. Okay, it's coming down. Press and hold the pickle button and pickle. Let's brake right to avoid masking the pod. Okay, now wings level. And let's drop it here on the wing. I'll bank a little bit left to avoid masking the pod. We have 17 seconds till release. It's lasing, you see the flashing L at the bottom and as well as on top. 9 seconds.
Chevy 2, passing waypoint 5 at 500.
Bam, shack. Nice. Okay. Let's now we're gonna try to go to the one of the spots that we marked with the mark point. For this we can If we maybe bring the radar picture quickly back up on the left side here, going to air-to-ground radar. We have mark point 0, that's the fuel tanks. Let's drop GBU-12 there. So we're just gonna have to go to the armament panel and change over to program 2, the GBU-12s, and back to the T-pod. The radar we can bring back to air radar, just for safety. And take command over the T-pod again. Now to make the T-pod queue to a mark point, you have to enter M followed by the mark point number and then press PB17 on the targeting pod. So let's enter shift to get the letters, then M0 and PB17. And now we have to hit auto axe switch aft briefly to queue the pod to the new queue. Slave the pod to the new queue. Okay, that's perfect. Let's update the target designation. Maybe this one here. TDCD press. And we can run into the target. Place the flag bar marker on the steering line. And we're gonna check if our designation is still good, and let's move it a little bit to here. That looks good. Okay, 40 seconds till release. Seconds. And the line is coming down. Press and hold pickle button. And pickle, braking right. Update the position a little bit. 17 seconds till impact. Banking left slightly to avoid masking the pod. Five. And shack. Nice. Okay, now what we will do now is drop some dump bombs, some cluster bombs in CDIP mode, and I'll show you how you can use the slave the targeting pod to the reticle and then directly designate the point that you're attacking. So let's change over to our program 3 in the armament panel, our CBUs, and we now have the CDIP symbology on the HUD. We have quickly a look at the air-to-ground radar. Again, by the way, if you command the air-to-ground radar again, the stored map will disappear. If you want to bring it back, you can hit here PB10, where there's new. You can change between new and store. Now we wanted to look at this spot here where there was a radar. That seems like a good target for a cluster bomb. So that's mark point 1. Okay. Now you could again queue the pod to the mark point and make a target designation like this. However, I want to show you how you can designate in case of targets of opportunity. So we go to the T-pod again, we take command, and now you have to clear all the current designations, so the current target designation. We clear this with coolie about switch aft on the throttle. And then we will bring the T-pod into snowplow mode by pressing auto act switch forward long. Okay, you see it's now slaved just below the horizon there in front of the aircraft, stabilized to the aircraft. Okay, now we can bring the targeting pod, we can slave it to the reticle by going first, taking command over the HUD by pressing castle switch depress and up in succession. Now we see in command of the HUD there, and once again castle switch depress and up, and the T-pod is now slaved to the CD pipper. You can do this as in auto, for the auto pipper as well, if you're in auto mode, and if you're in command of the HUD you can actually switch between CDIP and auto mode very easily by pressing auto act switch aft. See, now we're in auto mode, the targeting pod is still slaved to the pipper and back into CDIP mode. Okay, let's turn into the target now. So the way the designation works, if your pod is slaved to the reticle, is if you press pickle button short, you make a designation, and then if you hold it down you can immediately release the bombs afterwards. So if when you place the designation, the symbology will change to auto release mode, and then you will see a release line starting to descend on the ASL. So you just hold the flight path marker on the ASL and wait for the bomb to drop. Making designations like this and having the T-pod slave to the CDIP reticle is pretty useful because first of all you get a nice picture showing the effects of the bomb, so you can directly do some VDA while egressing, and you also see if something is firing at you from the target. And you can also, if you then want to re-attack, for example in auto mode, you already have the target designation and you can just refine it with the pod. You can also use this, especially with the auto pipper, to designate targets of opportunity. If you see something interesting, you go into auto mode and just drop the nose to point it at a target and press shortly the pickle button. I'll show you this afterwards. Let's go back into CDIP mode, and we have our radar there. Okay, that's looking good. Let's run in. We place the ASL line on the target and let the pipper come up through the target. Like this is about good. And then when it's over the target, I'll hit pickle button, and you see there's now a target point, and now the bomb is gone. So we'll egress, and you see, oh, missile. You see why it's useful to have the targeting pod looking at the spot. And we missed with the bomb. Doesn't matter, we'll try again. So Yeah, I guess the target destination was not really dead center. So what we have to do now, we have to take command of the pod again, and we have to undesignate and go into snowplow mode again. And we take command of the hat once more. And we slave the targeting pod to the clipper again. So those SAMs, I don't think I would have seen the launches without the targeting pod looking at the spot. That's a pretty useful feature. Ah, we actually hit one of them. That's good. Okay. Try to drop a little bit higher to not get as close to those SAMs. Okay, let's run in. Place the steering line on the target. Now that looks much better now. And let the pipper come up. We'll drop it right here. And pickle. Ah, that looks perfect. This time no launch. Let's see if we can see our bombs explode. Oh, cloud. Oh yeah, something exploded down there. Oh, that looks like a perfect drop, nice. Now the last thing I wanted to show you is how to designate targets of opportunity. For this we're gonna, let's switch over to RGView program 2. And let's say you see something on the ramp there. So we're just gonna undesignate everything on the teapot, and then we can, if we see something interesting, we're gonna bring the teapot back to the pipper. So first into snowplow mode with auto axe switch forward long, and then take command of the hat twice. And now it's on the pipper. Now we can just drop the nose, place the flight path marker on the target, maybe right about there, and press pickle button, and now we have a target designation. Now we can turn cold again and refine it with the teapot. So we take command here. Let's say we want to drop on this aircraft here. Let's update the target designation. Okay, it's looking good. It's at U-22. And let's turn into the target. Wait, 12 seconds till release, just in time. Place the flypath marker on the ASL lane. The lane is coming down. Press and hold pickle button. And pickle. Let's brake right. Update the target point a little bit. It's lasing. Everything's alright. Ten seconds till impact. Bam! Nice. Awesome. That's it. That's everything that I wanted to show you. I hope you found it useful and maybe learned something. There's definitely many more techniques to do this. I'm also still learning the jet, so looking forward to figure out new things. Have a good day. See you guys.